When I first started my fitness journey, I used to believe that in order to lose weight, I would have to eat as little as possible and do cardio every single day. And while initially I did end up losing the weight, I couldn't even enjoy it for a single minute. I was feeling so miserable. The only thing I could be thinking about the whole day was food, food, food. And all the food that I demeaned as bad in my head, you know what I ended up doing? I ended up buying all this food and binge it and binge it and binge it. And as a result, I regained back all the lost weight. Does this sound familiar to you? Because I'm going to save you 10 years of headaches and tell you what to do instead to not only lose the weight but keep it off and actually have a life you still enjoy living. So first of all, you need to be understanding how to actually lose weight to understand everything that I'm going to be talking about. And you may have probably heard of this before, but the only way to lose weight is by being in calorie deficit. And yes, I know everybody's like, calorie deficit, blah, 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 but what is it? So a calorie deficit is basically, you have to think of it this way. On the one hand, you have a certain amount of calories you burn in a day. And on the other hand, you have a certain amount of calories you eat in a day. Now, if you eat more calories than you burn, that's called a calorie surplus. That's how you end up gaining weight. Now, if you eat less than you burn, then you're going to be losing the weight, and that's when you're in a calorie deficit. Every single diet you have seen on the internet, from keto, intermittent fasting, and you name it, comes down upon the fact that they work if they put you in a calorie deficit. But most diets don't work long term, not because you don't lose the weight, but you end up making the same mistake as I have made in the beginning, as I mentioned. The problem is more so that we tend to view diets as this temporary state of suffering, and as soon as you cross the finish line and reach your goal, you go back to your old habits and you regain back the weight you initially lost. And that's something we have to change. Instead of having this 0 to 100 approach, you have to be making small changes in your daily life that put you in a calorie deficit but still make you enjoy your life properly. Instead of thinking as food is good or bad, look at it the following way. You could be eating the same foods every single day, and you could be either losing weight or gaining weight while eating them, because it's not only about what you eat but how much you eat of it. Look at this example from my book of these two pasta meals. Initially, you wouldn't be seeing a single difference, right? But there is. One meal is cooked with more cooking oils than the other, and that's how calories are being added up without you even knowing. So my first tip would be, start using less cooking oils in your meals and buy a cooking spray instead. This will make such a big difference in your life without even thinking of all the other things you have to do. If you do this alone, you will probably already lose a kilo, trust me. Another thing you have to keep in mind, look at this example. You see pieces of bread with avocado, and again, you wouldn't be even seeing the difference, but one contains more avocado than the other. And if you're eating multiple of these every day without using a scale, that could easily add up. So my second tip would be, buy a food scale. It will make a big difference as well. And combined with that, download the app MyFitnessPal. I know not everybody is a big fan of this, but listen to me. If you are just starting out, there's no way you're going to be able to eyeball certain foods and know what you're eating. You need to get a better understanding about foods first. And it's not only about counting the amount of calories something has. The more you use MyFitnessPal, the more nutritional knowledge you acquire as well, because you will be starting to understand, like, oh, this food contains a lot of proteins because I scanned it. Oh, this food ended up having more calories than I ever knew. And then you scan this and then you are like, whoa, this food has more calories than I knew. And now I'm aware, you know? So knowledge is power. Now, another thing you have to keep in mind is that certain foods you can eat way more of for the same amount of calories. And what I mean by that is, look at this example of this mayonnaise and the strawberries. This is another picture from my book, and Look at the difference. What do you think will keep you fuller with the same amount of calories? The strawberries, right? So you don't have to be starving yourself in order to lose weight. It's a combination of controlling your portions, but also knowing what types of food to eat. In general, most people like strawberries. And the same goes for watermelons. This is called volume eating. These type of foods you can eat a lot of, even if you wouldn't be tracking your calories, because it barely adds up to your total. And the same goes for things like veggies. And a life hack I love to include is, in every single meal I create, I also tend to add like the veggie mix, because it will keep you fuller for a longer period of time. So I lose weight and I still eat pasta almost every single day. And my hack is to add a protein source into the pasta and the veggies, because the proteins is good for muscle development and also keeps me fuller longer, and the veggies as well. These recipes are, sorry for all the plugs, the recipes are also included in my book if you would like to check it out. Now, beside that, before we even get into the weightlifting part, what are other things you could be doing in order to make the weight loss process easier beside the points I just mentioned? Another thing I highly recommend doing is try not to drink your calories, because look at this example. I would prefer you to be eating the oranges instead of the juice, because not only does the juice add up way quicker in calories, it also doesn't keep you full as long. In general, you have to keep this in mind if weight loss is the goal. If you drink your calories, you will be hungrier. You will be hungry way quicker than if you eat the solid form. That's why I also don't recommend people to be drinking protein shakes, for example, if they are losing weight, and instead eat their proteins from either fish, meat, etc., etc. It also makes the process way easier. And another thing is, try to walk 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, because this is so low effort, especially if you combine it with something you already enjoy doing. This is called habit stacking. So let's say you go to the gym and you go do cardio and you combine it with watching your favorite Netflix series. The time will go by so quickly. Or you take a walk and listen to a podcast. Over time, if you do this for a longer period of time, you start associating the walks with something you enjoy doing, and it will become a habit, like brushing your teeth. And the burnt calories you add up just from walking, it will also make a very big difference. Now, I do recommend to start weightlifting at a certain point. Why? Because the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn as well. So that will make your life easier as well. And if you combine that with eating enough proteins, 1.8 grams per kilogram. So let's say you're 60 kilograms, then you do 1.8 x the 60, and then you will know the amount of proteins you will have to eat. And don't worry, I have a free protein cheat sheet you can download as well. Okay, so a quick overview. The things I've mentioned before is portion size is important, buy a weight scale, My Protein Pal, try to take more walks, use less cooking oils, don't drink your calories, take walks, eat proteins, weightlifting. I think in a general sense, this has most of it covered. If you are a beginner, you will see results guaranteed. The more complex stuff comes more into play if you want to become a professional bodybuilder, or you want to take your body fat percentage very low, which I do not recommend. A thing I want to mention as well, as a woman, you have to keep in mind that if your body fat percentage gets too low, there's a chance you could lose your period. So try to stay healthy, okay? I do not promote here to be too thin, as in so skinny that it's not healthy anymore. While I think obesity isn't healthy, I also believe being at a level of bodybuilding competition is not healthy either. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. I know this is so cheesy, but it will help me out a lot. And if you have any questions, comment below. My book is also available on my website. I have a Notion food template as well, and a free protein guide. Okay, bye bye.